Hey, good morning and welcome. Patriot Radio News Hour. It is the 11th day of November. It is Veterans Day. Happy Veterans Day out there. I reached out to my brother this morning, the Colonel, wishing him a happy Veterans Day. And it's just, one of these times, and you think about what was it all for, and protecting our freedoms and seeing all of these freedoms come under attack. I think it's more important than ever that we let our veterans know how much we appreciate what they've done for us. And I just want to say a few words here on Veterans Day to all our men and women in uniform. You've always made the country proud, and we salute you for standing tall and strong for us. Let all of us honor each other, each and every soldier, everywhere, because we must salute their bravery and their courage towards this country. A real hero is a person who sacrificed for his nation, and our veterans are truly the heroes we admire. The celebration of Veterans Day is incomplete without thanking our soldiers who have protected our country and our people. I want to wish all of you veterans out there a happy Veterans Day. Thank you for your service, past, present, future, and may God bless all of you out there. Just a emotional time for me. I will just share a story from my brother when he was in Afghanistan. My brother actually was in two different wars. The last being the war there in Afghanistan. He was a lieutenant colonel at the time and was in charge of training Afghani police. And my brother never really talked, and I think this is with a lot of military. They don't like to talk about things they've seen, especially if they've seen things that you hope nobody ever sees. And I was talking to him one day because I was curious. I wanted to know. And he said, it's the scaredest I've been in my entire life. And, you got to think about, he was there for like 10 or 11 months. And, like a lot of our troops, there's not a lot that scares them. And talking about what he was going through and what his men and women under his command were going through in Afghanistan, and how you had to be basically on high alert 24/7 because the second one person let their guard down, the potential for loss of human life became very, very real. And it's just something where I want to thank every one of them for what they've done for this country. And I also want them to know that we haven't given up the fight. We're going to stand strong for them just like they stood strong for us. And God bless all of our troops, Jason, on this Veterans Day.
You did a good job, Joe. I'll leave it at that. So it's something that we do to remember our soldiers. So I don't have anything to add to it, Joe.
800-951-0592. That is our toll-free number. The website is allamericangold.com. And as we sit here and watch what's happening here, we got gold and silver rallying again today as inflation has taken center stage out in the marketplace. We had the Biden administration yesterday kind of freak out, went and attacked the central bank and then apologized for attacking the central bank. We have Jerome Powell having secret meetings with Jamie Dimon that we're going to talk about today. And again, it's something where I don't know the exact number of felonies that J.P. Morgan has committed under Jamie Dimon. I believe it's a half a dozen that I know of. I'm sure it's a lot more than that. But we'll talk about what it is that's happening there. We had maybe the worst auction yet yesterday afternoon. It was a 30-year auction, and it was the ugliest auction that we've probably seen. 30-year notes, that's tough. That's a long time, and without a lot of interest on that, it makes things very, very interesting. And then apparently, Jason, we've got a new record. We're up to 111 container ships floating off the coast of California. I wonder if we can now go from all the way from L.A. to New York if we stack these container ships one next to the other.
Our engineer was over there in California and took a look at everything going on, and he had his theory about what's going on because he saw a whole lot of empty docks with no ships, one crane and one ship being unloaded, and a whole lot of nothing going on. And I have my theories. He has his theories. He's thinking California might be. Hey, we're going to keep California nice and stocked, and good luck because they're not letting trucks into California that don't have all the green emissions and things going on. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, welcome to California, the world of delusional thinkers. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back after the break. Any veterans out there, just let us know if you order today and you're a vet. We're going to take $10 off every order for the vets that are out there. Just a couple of other quick updates. Glenn Tate is well on the way to recovery, so great news there. I think him and Shelby did a little podcast. He's a little worse for wear, but he's hanging in there. Amy from Abundant Flame, she's hanging in, though. We need those prayers for Amy. I know Keith and Amy, great people. They got 2 kids. Let's keep the prayers going for her. I just want to let everybody know, please have your financial house in order. You just don't know what's going to happen with all this stuff out there. If you're not sure if your life insurance policies are up to date, or especially if you're going to be leaving money to your kids or your grandkids, you make one mistake and all of a sudden the government's in there taking a big healthy piece of that inheritance. Make sure you have your financial house in order. Call my son. Call Joey, 602-909-9048. And make sure you do. Listen, the best thing you can do, give him a call. He's going to look at what you got, and he'll tell you right away, hey, you did good. You're in great shape. You're going to be fine. Or, you know what? We got some work to do here because the way it's set up right now, if something does happen, you're going to have a huge tax bill on your kids or your grandkids, and let's prevent that. Or, hey, that life insurance policy, yeah, that's not, especially like someone like me, like I had mine. Mine was 19 years old when I just redid it with Joey. And, man, 19 years ago, Jason, man, you needed a whole lot less money.
That's correct. Yeah, the dollars had a little more value than they do today. so yeah.
It's amazing how things have changed, but he can help you. And he's my kid, so you're going to deal with someone you can trust because if he screws it up, I'm going to be on him. How about this? Big report out yesterday. We know wages have gone up quite a bit. Right, and we've done, I don't know how many different stories of all these companies paying more and giving bonuses and doing all this. The Labor Department said that while wages continue to increase, up 0.4% in the month of October, they said, unfortunately, inflation is rising significantly faster than wages. And they're saying that now the average American out there, despite all the wage growth, is actually bringing home less money in real terms than they were before this whole quote-unquote transitory inflation thing started, Jason.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And especially with inflation, as we've said many times, you go from $15 an hour to $17 an hour, but you're paying out more than $2 an hour worth of bills. And I think your really good example was rent. It doesn't do you any good. You know, you have to find a lower standard of living to keep up, Joe. That's the only way you keep up.
Yeah, and again, this is what when we talk about stagflation, this is what we see, which is wages may be rising, but not nearly fast enough to keep pace with what's happening out there in real terms, and then you create this horrible situation. Where more and more people, right? Well, we're seeing it now. Look at credit card usage. I mean, credit card usage went way down. Remember when the government was paying everybody not to work, was actually paying them more money not to go to work? Credit card balances fell. Credit card usage fell just in the last 60 days. Credit card debts have gotten back almost to a new all-time record high. And of course, we're sitting here, yesterday, what was it, the other day, I had to get gas. $3.70 now is cheap gas here. And getting worse. Crude oil right now, it's $82. Crude oil fell yesterday because the Biden administration, the energy department, came out and said, hey, don't worry, we're pretty confident that hopefully maybe sometime early next year, the supply problem in oil is gonna ease up, and things will get better. And I'm going to tell you right now, I have absolutely no confidence that is the case, because I have yet to see the Biden administration say not a single thing about more drilling here in the United States, Jason.
No, it's pretty much the opposite. He's trying to cap off any ways of even producing. So it's he's doubling the problem. And I don't, you can say anything you want about Biden and these politicians, and a lot of them are kind of dumb, but he's not so dumb that he knows that he doesn't know what he's doing. Biden understands. He's been in Congress a long time. He's been in Washington D.C. a long time. He knows exactly what's going on. He was given a job to do, and he's doing that job. So you can blame Biden, and you can't, because he's actually doing the job handed to him. He could do what John F. Kennedy did. He can go against what they're telling him to do, which he won't. But he knows what he's doing, Joe. He's shutting down supply lines for oil and causing more problems. It's not on accident.
Well, how about this one? Bloomberg is reporting that Federal Reserve Governor Lael Brainard was interviewed for the top job at the U.S. Central Bank when she visited the White House last week. Now, I've been talking about her for a while. Very, very dangerous. If you value your hard work and your labor, if you value the money that's in your wallet, you do not want to see this woman rise to the top spot. It's going to be very interesting. There's a lot of openings now at the central bank because of the scandal. We've got to get a new president at the Boston Federal Reserve, the Dallas Federal Reserve, and then there's Jay Powell sits at the top, right? And really you could argue Janet Yellen and Jay Powell. The vice chair. Clarida is the vice chair. He's like the vice president, if you will. He is out. So he is done at, I want to say, at the end of the year. I want to say it may have been Monday. Quarles, and he was a Trump appointee. He sits in a spot that got created as the Randy Quarles. He's like the top cop, if you will, at the central bank. So this was after the financial crisis. They created this position where he was supposed to, guy that's in charge of making sure everybody's behaving themselves. And, of course, he was also supposed to be the one that was keeping an eye on the other central bank, the other bankers that were making millions of dollars trading on their own, right, Jason? You know, he was supposed to be watching out for all of us. He's appointed to an 11-year term. So he wasn't supposed to, his term wasn't supposed to end until, I want to say, like 2032. Huh. He announced this week that he is going to resign the last week of December.
Well, all that you just said smells like something really bad is getting ready to happen early next year.
I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know. But, boy, it sure seems like something really big is going to happen, and it's going to happen soon. So when you think about it, okay, we've got to get rid of 2 Fed governors, right? Boston and Texas. Boston and Dallas, technically, but Texas. Then you got to take out the number 2, and let's call them number 2 and number 3. Okay, so they don't. These 2 guys, Clarida and Quarles, they're not in charge of a region, right? They're not at the San Francisco Fed or the Boston Fed or the Dallas Fed or the St. Louis Fed. They're above those guys. Both of them now are out. Now we find out that Joe Biden has interviewed Lael Bernard, and according to Bloomberg, she didn't interview for Quarles' job. She didn't interview for Clarida's job. She interviewed for Jay Powell's job. Now, I don't know, but Quarles resigning when he's supposed to be there till 2032 probably tells me a couple of things. Number one, he probably also got caught with his hand in the cookie jar, right? Right? Wouldn't that make sense, Jason?
Yeah, yes, that makes a lot of sense, Joe, for sure.
Right? Well, you know, if you thought what the Dallas Fed and the Boston Fed did was bad, wait till you see what I've done. Then not to mention, at the same time that came out, the Inspector General, who has been reviewing all of these illicit trades inside of the central bank, is supposed to be getting ready to hand over his report. And here's the funny part, Jason. Guess who he's handing it over to? Jerome Powell.
Huh.
Right? So it's almost like, hey, listen, I know that we had, the fox guarding the hen house here, but I'm going to give the report on what all the other foxes were doing to the head fox. Well, and it makes absolutely no sense.
Well, then he's going to hand it off to the new lady you don't want put into place, and she'll take over shortly after the disaster starts next year.
Are we setting ourselves up here? Are we going to get this sweep here at the central bank? And I kind of wonder, and I don't know, maybe it's because I talked to Jason too much now, but I'm getting really worried about, is this why Joe Biden got put into place?
That's what I think, Joe. That's what I think.
Is this why? Was this the reason? Because I'm going to tell you right now, the quote-unquote new central bank, Lael Bernard, loves the digital currency. She thinks the Fed should have it. Right? That's the ultimate spying tool. We talk about Veterans Day and freedom. Well, you want a whole lot of that. Wait till we get the digital money. She's also believes that the central bank can create equality. And what is that really? What is that code for?
Socialism.
I'm going to take from the ones that succeed, and I'm going to give it to the ones that don't. And this will be the end of capitalism as we know it. This will be a Fed that has even more power. You know, I was hoping when this next crash comes out, the central bank would be wounded, would be weakened. Boy, this sure seems like it could be something else entirely. I don't know if it's going to happen, but believe me, if it does, you think gold and silver are on a roll now. Wait till you see what happens if that announcement comes down. We'll be right back. Patriot Radio News Hour. Gold's here. Gold's up $15, 1863, 1864. Silver up 46 cents, 23 or 20, 25.23. I'll get it right. 25.23. So yesterday, silver did not close above $25, but it sure looks like it's going to do it today. Much stronger market for silver today. Gold again, it's already closed above 1830, continues to rise. I think it's going to continue to rise even more. It's speculation on my part. I don't know. I really thought Jay Powell was going to be safe. Now I'm not so sure. Now it's possible that if Jay Powell isn't replaced, that Lael Bernard, she'll get one of the other two jobs, right? Because that's kind of how it works. Is either you retire from those two jobs or you become the next head of the Fed, right? That's the stepping stone. That's how Ben Bernanke got there. That's how Janet Yellen got there. That's how Jay Powell got there. And that's the path for Lael Bernard. But it just may be a whole clean sweep. And it's starting to look a little more like that. If that's the case, forget everything I said about 6 months. It'll happen much sooner than that. This will be definitely something that rattles the market quite a bit. Lael Bernard and Janet Yellen together is the most socialist banking team the world probably will have ever seen. But how about this? This one here, Wall Street on Parade. The Martins do such a great job. They are the first ones to report that apparently Jay Powell had a private meeting with Jamie Dimon. It was September 30th, right after Jay Powell had testified to Congress. And also the day before, the central bank had to tell us, now granted the data's 2 years old now, but the new rules state, hey, 2 years later, the central bank can say, here's the banks that have come to the Fed window to borrow money. And it's kind of interesting, right? Because during Jamie Dimon's tenure, they've pled guilty to 5 different felonies. And yet, he's never asked to step down. One of the felonies they admitted to was rigging the U.S. Treasury market. Right? Which you would think, okay, of all the things, that's one thing, hey, listen, we don't like it when you rip off your customers. But now you're rigging the U.S. Treasury market, which, if you believe them, it's the most important thing, right? Oh, the full faith and credit of the United States is at hand. Yeah. No worries. J.P. Morgan was rewarded for that. How were they rewarded? Well, guess who got the no-bid contract, Jason, to handle all the mortgage-backed securities the central bank's been buying?
I guess that'd be Jamie Dimon.
That'd be Jamie Dimon. Come on down, baby. Yes. You can handle this. I'm sure there's no funny business going to happen. Now, it is interesting. Guess who was one of the first banks at the window asking for money?
Probably the same bank.
Chase Bank.
Yep.
And not only did they show up at the window, they showed up at the window as the largest borrower almost every time. September 17th, 2019, the New York Fed provided $53 billion in one-day repo loans. J.P. Morgan Security Unit, that's the trading arm of J.P. Morgan. Now, why would the trading arm get money? They got the biggest cut of the money, $7.6 billion or 14%. At a time when J.P. Morgan by itself held $1.6 trillion in deposits. Why would it need to borrow $7.6 billion if they had $1.6 trillion in deposits? Listen, this is why you don't keep a lot of money in the bank. Listen, do you think Apple, right? Everyone knows Apple, Amazon, right? Microsoft, they've got hundreds of billions of dollars. They don't keep any of it in the bank. They don't. They keep enough. Hey, we got to payroll and pay our bills, but the money we know we don't need to spend, it's not in the bank. They go out and buy bonds because the bank goes under. They don't want to. They'd lose that money. They're not idiots. And the scary part, think about this, because the number's grown since then. $1.6 trillion in deposits. One bank. That's just one bank. And the FDIC, oh no, we're insuring every deposit of up to $250,000. And look, we've got $40 billion. One bank's got $1.6 trillion worth of deposits. It's a sham. It doesn't really exist. And again, Dodd-Frank took care of that. Most people don't realize what's really happened. Right? When that bank goes under, they don't have the money. They don't have the money to pay. I mean, if the Bank of Schmuckatelli in Nowhere, Montana went under, they got that covered. Right? But let's face it, 90+% of all deposits are in 10 banks. Any of those banks go under, it's over with.
Joe, the sacrificial lamb of this next crash might be the big banks, and then the Fed will be the hero that will just take over the banking industry with digital cash. Maybe that's what we're setting up for.
Could absolutely be. So that was on the 17th. By the 27th, J.P. Morgan Securities got another $20 billion in 14-day repos. On the 30th of September, another $8 billion. I mean, come on. Wake up out there. 800-951-0592. We'll be right back after the break. 800-951-0592. I want to get more into this story because it gets even better. But first, we got to do a little business here. Utility silver, quarters, dimes. We started yesterday with 8 bags. So about 4 bags of quarters, 4 bags of dimes. Right now, we've got 2 bags of quarters and about a bag and a half of dimes left. Silver's up 53 cents now, 25.30. So silver starting to flex that muscle here. I'm going to leave the price the same. Quarters are at $2.40. I got 2 bags. If you want to buy a bag, $24,000. Dimes at $1.20. Again, you want to buy a bag, $24,000 at 800-951-0592. I also have. We got a case and a half of U.S. Silver Eagles And here's the nice part: these they weren't sealed, obviously, a case and a half, but we're being told all of the really clean looking. These are back dates, and back dates carrying premiums everywhere, but here at Patriot, if you want rolls of Silver Eagles, I've got about 40 rolls at $725. Think about this. I think we ran Silver Eagles like a week ago, Jason. I think they started at $685.
That's
then
right.
They went to $700. Now they're $725. By the way, vets, any vets out there, just tell us you're a vet. We're not going to check your papers. $10 off any order on a vet today. 800-951-0592. So we're talking about what's really happening out there. Now, this is before COVID. Remember, this was that little mini crash in December, in the fall of 2019. This is kind of really where the gold and silver markets really started to make their run. And all of a sudden, the Fed windows open. Remember, I did the story where Bank of America had warned, hey, what do you remember? This was the first time they were trying to taper. And Bank of America is like, hey, what are you doing? Can't taper? We need help. Come to find out, J.P. Morgan was the one that was in trouble. Apparently, through the Freedom of Information Act, Wall Street on Parade learned that J.P. Morgan Chase drained $158 billion from its liquidity reserves that were being held at the Federal Reserve at the time. By the way, that was 57% of the total reserves and caused a huge liquidity crisis, of which J.P. Morgan, their securities division, which I don't even know why that would be allowed. They said, you make bad trades, you should lose, period. Was the one borrowing the bulk of the money. And then through that Freedom of Information Act, they received notice that the Federal Reserve said that it had 233 documents that may shed some light as to why J.P. Morgan Chase was allowed by the Fed to draw down all of those reserves, creating a liquidity crisis and forcing them to stop, taper, and reopen the Fed window. Now, normally a Freedom of Information Act, they're supposed to respond in 20 days. It took the central bank 4 months to tell them, hey, we've got these documents. Unfortunately, those documents were never made public because after that they received notice that the Federal Reserve had denied the Freedom of Information Act request in its entirety, Jason. And so I don't know if we'll ever find out what really happened.
Well, and the Federal Reserve is not beholden to the Freedom of Information Act being a private company. So whatever the Fed hands over is just what they want you to know.
And I just find it very interesting because you've heard Jay Powell say, I don't know how many times, the banks are well capitalized. And remember, for a while there, banks weren't able to buy back their own stock and all that. Of course, no, it's fine. Listen, they will lie right to our face to keep us from knowing what's really happening out there. And I only bring this up. This is a very delicate situation we're in. This inflation that we've been talking about, this is a game changer. This is something we have not seen. And what I'm worried about the other side of the inflation. When the collapse happens, how underfunded are these banks really going to be, Jason?
I said earlier this might be their plan, Joe, because if you go to a digital-only money system, the Fed, in theory, could just handle the whole thing. and you have to have an enemy. You have to have a finger to point at when something bad happens. And if it's not going to be coronavirus or some other, terrorist attack or something, you can say, well, the big banks, it's all their fault. And we'll just have to go away from those guys. We'll just let the Fed, this independent company that's in your best interest, will take care of it. I mean, it could happen, Joe. I mean, the movement in the Fed positions, and with this, I mean, let's face it, this information about J.P. Morgan being the one that was, causing the trouble in 2019. I mean, you could say that somebody went out and got that information, but they didn't want us to know that. I don't think we would know about it, Joe. That they want us to know this stuff for some reason.
Very interesting. We're going to try to connect the dots. Is Lael Bernard the last piece of the puzzle? We'll talk about that before we sign off today. Man, I got so much stuff. I just don't have enough time to cover it all. Tomorrow we're going to talk about healthcare premiums. Wow. I just saw the number. I don't even believe it myself. I don't know why I should. Just again, the nation getting poorer, inflation. Is it possible the sweeping out of the central bank is setting us up for, as Jason says, these banks, man, they were really, really bad. But don't worry. The central bank is now here with this digital dollar. Will make banks really kind of obsolete. The problem is, anyone who's got any money in there, listen, it's real simple. They don't have money. They don't have anywhere close to the money to insure these deposits. Now, they can say it's insured. Doesn't mean anything. Because really, with Dodd-Frank now, with the new bail-in method, okay, just so you know, we're unsecured credit holders to the bank. We're like last in line. But don't worry. Okay, well, you had $1 million in our bank. Well, it's insured up to $250. So thanks for that free $750. Thanks for that. And so don't ever do that, by the way. But this other $250, let's talk about it. Because we're looking here. And, you're still working and you're making money and, you really don't need all of it right now. How about, we'll give you 50 grand in the digital dollars. But don't worry, this other 200,000, it's still yours, but it's in the form of stock in this new bank. Your new Federal Reserve Bank, whatever it's called. You'll get stock. Now, you can't sell it. Can't sell it, but it's here. And once this thing is over and things settle down, and sometime in the future, we may send you a notification that, hey, you can now sell some of that stock to get your money back. That's how it's going to work. I mean, all the people that don't have any money in there, that live paycheck to paycheck, you're fine. We're going to keep your money in there. And who knows? My guess is if it's Lael Bernard in charge, there'll be some sort of social justice within that, right? If you're a minority, the right ethnic group, or you can trace your roots back to slavery or whatever, we may even give you more money.
It could be.
But all of you successful people, we've got a different program for you, Jason.
It could be something even simpler, Joe, that they just, if your accounts are at certain levels, you just take a haircut to pay for for this disaster. They could just take it. And here's the other thing: I've been looking more at Bitcoin and crypto, what they call currencies, or their crypto assets. This scenario that we've presented could be very real, because Bitcoin has made a lot of people feel really comfortable about cryptocurrencies. And if this thing were to happen, Joe, Bitcoin would not go away. Bitcoin would be around. It'd be your alternative to Fedcoin. Because they have skated this emergency, and nobody will, they'll point at J.P. Morgan, they'll point at Wells Fargo, they'll point at these banks, but they're not going to point at the Fed. They didn't point at the Fed in 2008, Joe.
No, I think you're right. The Fed's going to be perceived as the white horse, and Lael Bernard fits that bill. Does that mean they think it's this quick? Really, truthfully, I think They were hoping to wait another couple of years before she gets there, but I don't know if they got that long. Very interesting day. I know that was a lot today. You never know what you're going to learn here. 800-951-0592. Quarters and dimes and Silver Eagles. We've got them all for you today. Patriot Radio News Hour. God bless you. Thank you to all the vets.